Oh, and you're a social butterfly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's good. So this should be easy for you, huh?
I don't know.
You'll find out.
Let's see. I'm doing my best. So
All right. Very good. Okay. As I said, my name's Lauren. And let me first welcome you to Speech 1100 Online. I appreciate all of you coming in on short notice and being able to be here this evening. Let me start by explaining to you why we do a mandatory orientation. As you could tell from when I went around, a lot of students experience apprehension about speaking. Okay? In fact, how many of you, if given the opportunity, if it was not a required course for your program, would not take this class? Raise your hand, be honest, you're not going to hurt my feelings, trust me. Okay, most everybody. That's pretty typical for what I find in classes. Because students come with a lot of preconceived notions about speech and about speech communication, and because you often experience high levels of apprehension, that can create situations that cause you not to do well in class. Okay? All of our communication research says that. All of the research about online learning, and specifically teaching online speech, shows that if you do a face-to-face orientation with students first, they have a much higher chance of doing well in the course. Okay? So that's why we do this way, to get you oriented. I know for some of you it's a real pain to change your schedules and everything to get in here, and I really appreciate that. It was not my choice truly to do the orientation on Thursday, since that's not the same night that we'll be speaking. But that's the way they scheduled it. I waited to contact you because I didn't have a classroom until yesterday. So I couldn't really get and say, hey, here's where we're gonna be. And there were a couple other problems we had to work on and things. So we're still sort of new at doing speech. We have a lot more sections running right now. So I appreciate you making the accommodations and being patient with things. We also this semester have a new textbook. So it's the Comm textbook. It's an awesome textbook. It has great resources. You will be very happy that we're going to use that textbook because the book we had last semester was terrible. The website was awful. The tech support was terrible. This already has been so much simpler to use, so that should work out very well. So here's what I'm hoping to do tonight. I put this stuff up here so you can see it. Do a little welcome for you. Do a couple introductions, let you say a couple things about yourself. You heard me talk to you a little bit, but I'd like you to say a couple things. Do the orientation. Talk about what the online materials are like, the expectations for things, what we're going to be doing in the class, what speeches will be like. I want to do a little challenges discussion. I've got a couple questions for you. I may morph that into the introductions. And then I want to talk about your first speech, which is due in 2 weeks. You signed up to take a class in 8 weeks. So it's very similar to what we do in the summer, which means it's at an accelerated pace. So again, meeting face-to-face, I can kind of orient you to some of the expectations of what you're going to be doing so that you can be successful. Students in the summer do it. They work full-time. They do their lives. They've got all the same kinds of things that you guys are doing. So it's not that it's not possible. I just want you to be aware of the kinds of things that you need to be doing so that you're successful, because I want you to be successful. Okay. Do you have any questions of me? Anything you want to ask at this point?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, as far as with I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but that's what's on my mind.
Yeah, sure.
So as far as our final exam, that will consist of a speech?
Yes, I'll be right up front. I don't give tests.
Oh, okay.
You'll have quizzes
okay.
connected to the chapter readings,
okay.
but I do not have any tests.
No midterms or anything?
No
okay.
midterms, no finals, and there are no huge papers to write.
No,
You're going to do lots of small activities and
okay.
you'll have some writing assignments, no doubt, and you're going to do some discussion board stuff. So there's writing involved in the class, but it's not like you're going to have to go out and do a research paper.
Okay.
The bulk of where your grade comes from is from the speeches. And that's, again, what makes this class different. It's a performance class. I mean, you have to come to class and perform. So I'll know whether or not you're getting stuff based on how you're doing on the speeches. And just so you know, since Tiffany asked, the class is set up developmentally. So in other words, we start with the easy stuff. We get the easy things, get you get your feet on the ground, get you a little sense of where you're going with this, and then each assignment gets a little bit harder. We design the units so that you speak every 3rd week, except the last week there's only 2 weeks in between. Okay, but that way it's pretty consistent. And again, my students do it in the summer, and last semester I taught it in a 16-week format. The students did fine, and they did it without a face-to-face orientation. we had to do some things to massage the class a little bit that I'm hoping we can avoid by meeting face-to-face today. So as we go through this stuff, if you think of questions, ask.
I had one more quickly.
Sure.
What is your definition of a speech? Or what is a speech? I'm sorry. Yeah.
A
I just
speech
think of
is.
Obama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Actually, that's a good question. Speaking happens on a continuum. Okay. So you're going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about speaking happening from the least prepared to the most prepared. Okay. Least prepared speaking is what we call ad lib. Off the cuff, off the top of your head, I came around and asked you questions. I talked to you based on a little bit of something you wrote. That's ad lib. If I said, Carrie, did you happen to see what happened on the accident that you said happened on Butterfield Road?
It was just a little accident, but it was a big commotion.
Okay, okay. She had no idea what I was going to ask her. She just talked. Okay, that's ad lib, no preparation. Okay. The next level, with a little more preparation, is what's called impromptu. Okay, impromptu speaking is I give you a couple of minutes and I give you a topic, and I say go prepare some things to say, and then in 5 minutes you're going to get up and speak, or in 2 minutes you're going to get up and speak. Okay, we don't have the opportunity to do that kind of speaking in class. The class moves too fast. We don't have enough time. And I think sometimes that really increases student stress level. So I don't often do a lot of impromptu speaking. Okay? The next level is where we focus. And that's extemporaneous speaking. Extemporaneous speaking means that you have more time to prepare than a couple of minutes. Usually, could be a couple of hours, could be a couple of days, could be a couple of weeks. In your case, it's typically a couple of weeks. But you have time to organize your thoughts. If you have to do research, you can go out and find the information of the stuff you're going to talk about, put a well-structured message together, practice it, and then come to class and deliver. Okay? When you do extemporaneous speaking, you don't use extensive notes. You don't walk up with an outline. You don't walk up with a manuscript of your speech written out or anything like that, because of the limitations it puts on your delivery. Okay? So this is the most practical, useful kind of speaking that you could do. So that's why we really focus heavily on extemporaneous speaking. Okay? The next one is manuscript. That is where you write your speech out word for word. Okay? And you shouldn't read it. You should be able to express your message without being tied to the paper. But most people have a tendency to read. When Obama, since you brought up Obama, when Obama does a speech, he's working from a manuscript, okay? And if you've ever seen a political speaker on a stage, you'll see that sometimes there's these like square plastic panels that are on either side. That's a teleprompter. So when you're looking from the audience towards the speaker, you can't see the speech, but if you're standing behind the speaker, you'll see the speech scrolling on that. That's why they speak like this. They kind of turn from one. Now, it's to pan the whole audience, but it's also that they can keep their eye on the speech. Obama, Clinton, pick a president, Bush, whoever, maybe not Bush. He wasn't particularly always very good at that. It took him a long time to learn how to do that, right?
He was impromptu.
He was impromptu often, and he got himself in trouble right? The Bushisms.
Right.
But if you do that kind of speaking, it takes a lot of practice. Now, this semester I'm going to try something different, okay? Because we're actually going to start with a manuscript speech, and we're going to work backwards, okay? So, it's got to say, make a little face there. You may not be used to working with this. If you have a manuscript and you're used to doing sort of more impromptu or a different system, you can kind of work back to this. But I'm going to ask you to put together a manuscript, and then we'll talk about why that is. The most difficult kind of speaking to do effectively is memorized. So I will never, never ask you to memorize. Okay? Now I will say, sometimes my international students or students whose English is not their first language, they'll memorize their speeches. One, because sometimes in their home country or home culture, even in their educational system, they memorize a lot. They're taught from a young age to memorize poetry and pieces of literature and all kinds of things. And often in cultures,